Hello and welcome to Inside the PGTI. In this edition of the show, we travel to Southwest India and to the garden city, Bengaluru, for the 2017 Take Solutions Masters. Bengaluru may well be known as India's Silicon Valley city today, but for many decades, its architecture, art, culture and natural beauty have given it its pride of place as a major Indian state capital and centre of commerce, industry, trade and politics. With 8.5 million inhabitants, it is India's third most populous city and boasts of a tremendously vibrant and cosmopolitan culture as reflected in its sights and sounds, food and general vibe. Having been ruled by a succession of South Indian dynasties since ancient times, the capital of Karnataka has a uniquely heterogeneous demography and liberal, open-minded society that welcomes talented people from all over the world with open arms and gives them various platforms to showcase their prowess in different fields. Among those legends and big names taking part, of course, none would be bigger than Jeev Milkha Singh, a man who needs no introduction to the larger golfing fraternity.
I think it's a very good opportunity for the PGTI members to be playing a co-sanctioned event in Bangalore this week to win on the Asian Tour. There are a lot of young good players coming out of India right now, and I think they're hungry, they want to prove themselves. And I wish them all the best for this week, and hopefully if they can win, they have the right to play on the Asian Tour, and the Asian Tour is growing. So I think it'll be, a very good thing to happen for any member who wins this week.
Another man in the spotlight would be Gaganjeet Bhullard. In the lead up to the tournament, the 29-year-old had gone from strength to strength after recovering from a wrist injury.
I'm hitting it good. The last tournament I played on the Asian Tour, I finished second. It was Thailand Open. And yeah, striking it good, feeling good. I had a good 7-week off. I was preparing for the second half of the season. I was in US. I was practicing with my coach and feeling really positive. A lot of positive vibes, surrounding myself, and really looking forward for the second half this year.
Boasting 10 other professional titles, Bhullard knew what it takes to win big tournaments. For this one though, his plan was quite simple.
Not too many drivers. The goal is basically to keep the ball in play. A lot of dog legs, a lot of left to right, right to left. A lot of tee shots which makes you think. I would say, especially for my game, a lot of rescues and a lot of 3-woods. And that's all, you keep the ball in play, give yourself a lot of birdie opportunities, and you're gonna do well this week.
One of the favourites for the title would be Sinappa Chikkarangappa. His previous wins at the Take Solutions Masters came when it was presented as an Asian Development Tour event in 2014 and 2015.
A big bonus, I would say, because from winning those ADT events, and if this has turned out into an Asian Tour event full field, it's a really special one for me and for the people of Bangalore and the Indians and the rest of the field.
The man fondly known as Chika was looking to secure his maiden win on the Asian Tour. Having made only 3 cuts in 9 starts since the start of the season though, he knew he'd have to change his approach in the business end of the year. Among the big Asian names to watch out for was Siddiqur Rahman. The Bangladeshi star had won at this venue in 2009 on the PGTI, and having also enjoyed playing the Louis Philippe Cup, he counted the KGA as among his favourite courses. Rahman had come into the tournament on the back of a memorable 3rd place finish at the European Open in Hamburg just a week earlier. So he was confident of coming out on top at a course he knew like the back of his hand.
Well, I think for this course especially need to keep more fairway and green regulations definitely. And like this week, I would say it's a really strong field, especially after a long break. All players want to play. So what doesn't matter is what is the prize money. But I think this is a really this week is really good players all come here, and especially all Indian top player also here. So it will be very excited end of the week.
The fans got a sneak peek of what was to come in the main tournament when its precursor, the Pro-Am, featuring teams of professionals who played alongside amateurs, got underway a day before the opening round of the main draw. The local faithful would get a rare glimpse of seeing a bunch of international celebrities learning from and enjoying the company of golfing legends.
Well, I've been hearing a great deal about Jeev Milkha Singh and his laurels and his achievements in the golf tournaments globally. Playing with him today was a big honor, a big education. And before we could start, I had told him, hey, just check it out on my shortcomings and weak points, and please guide me, because most of the time I'm drawing the, when I take off on the tee box. My ball draws a little bit. So he corrected my position. He said, okay, bhai, this is the way you got to go.
For those winners of the Pro-Am events, which took place on consecutive days over Tuesday the 1st of August and Wednesday the 2nd, there were various prizes and goodies on offer. These included trophies and goodie bags, besides souvenirs and keepsakes. On that note, it's time now for us to take our first break here on the show. But do stay tuned. When we come back, we'll reveal some of the most uncommon and even unthinkable things that major title contender Shiv Kapoor keeps in his bag. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. One of the major title contenders at the 2017 Take Solutions Masters in Bengaluru was that man, two-time Asian Tour champion Shiv Kapoor. Earlier in the year, in April, Kapoor had won his second Asian Tour title in Chinese Taipei after an 11-year wait. That came after a 2-year run of bad luck. In 2015, he had lost his European Tour playing rights. And then, last year, a liver abscess forced him to take time out. The comeback from there, though, has been nothing short of phenomenal.
It's been good, I guess, up to this point. To come back from what I went through last year, to be able to win and to back it up with a couple of good finishes after that. It's been good. The year's far from done. I think a comeback is probably going to be judged at the end of the season. So, I'm hoping I can have a strong finish to the season and truly do make it a good comeback.
Kapoor, however, would play this tournament with lots on his mind. His wife was due to give birth within a week or so of the opening round.
Obviously it's at the back of your mind. I wouldn't say it's the back of my mind, it's probably more at the front of my mind. It's tough to come out and play, given what's going on back at home. But, obviously, I've got to do what I got to do. My wife's been very understanding and she wants me to come out and play. And, I'm always looking at my phone before I tee off and as soon as I finish. So I'm just hoping I can get through this week and, have a good performance and go back and enjoy what's probably going to be the happiest day of our lives.
The man from the Delhi Golf Club was one of only 2 Indians at this year's British Open, the other being Anirban Lahiri. The young golfers look up to him now, and he takes equal pride in rubbing shoulders with the stars of tomorrow, who are coming up rapidly and successfully through the ranks of the PGTI.
Well, the PGTI has obviously grown from strength to strength. I was there at the time of formation, and it's obviously tough when you're starting out a new tour, and it's grown to great heights. I think we're one of the few tours in the world that has 20 plus events for the Indian players to play in. You've got a full-fledged tour, and it's a great breeding ground for some of the young talent, and even for some of the older guys to come back and find some form and move on to bigger and better things. Back in the day, if you made the cut in a co-sanctioned event, it was considered a major feat, and now people are disappointed if Indians don't win. And so we've set the bar pretty high, and I think that's just a testament to how strong the domestic tour is.
A lot of youngsters were curious and eager to know what he carries around in his bag, what he needs and what he brings for good luck. So let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Hi, I'm glad you could join me here. Let me talk you what's in my bag. Before I go what's in my bag, let me talk about the bag itself. This bag is a special Open Championship commemorative edition. So it's going to go up on my mantelpiece, but right now I've just come back from the Open Championship, so this is the one in the bag. The head covers and everything are special, but my really special head cover is this one. This reminds me of my dog Rumi. It came as part of my wedding present, really. She was my wife's dog, and then now she's our dog and pretty much sleeps on top of my legs every day. So this is my little Rumi on the bag, which is on my old trusted 5-wood. As you can see, it's a Ping G10, which is about 7 or 8 years old, but it works really well. That's why it's still in the bag. In spite of all the changes in equipment, this one makes it. Every now and then I swap this one over for a 1-iron, which I used at the Open Championship or where it's really, really windy, but this one is a keeper. My 3-wood also is an M2, 15 degree. I've had this for about 2 or 3 years. This is my go-to club. When I'm not feeling very comfortable with my driver, this is my club that kind of sees me through. My driver, of course, is one of my favorite bags in the club, so it's not often I use the 3-wood. It's also an M2, 9.5 degree, but I've set it to a slightly lower loft because I like to see the ball go a bit left to right, and usually play in a lot of wind when you play in Europe, so I've set it to a much lower loft. My irons, 3 to pitching wedge, are PSIs. What's really cool about them is when you look over here, this little gold badge. TaylorMade did something really cool for me after I won. Said they give you gold badges for your clubs, specifically for the PSIs. And I think I'm in a very elite club with Justin Rose and Sergio Garcia that have these. So that's a pretty cool thing that I'll always cherish. If I go down to my wedges, I have the Cleveland RTX 3 wedges. I've got about 4 sets of these, but this particular set's been in my bag for 6 or 7 months. As you can see, if you look at my lob wedge, there's almost a hole in the middle of the club face. That's how much I've used this club. I'm very, very hesitant to change. just because I like the way this one sits on the ground, but I think I'm going to be forced to change it very soon. My putter is a Ping Answer 2 50th anniversary edition. The only difference between this and the one they made 50 years ago is the front of the face, where you can see it's got a milled face. But otherwise this putter is almost 50 years old. And I used this when I won in Taiwan, and they were very nice, and Ping has sent me a gold edition of the same putter. Now what's inside my bag is actually quite fun. When you get to my age and you have all the aches and pains that you have, this is the number one thing I always put as my painkillers and my muscle relaxants. So this is the first thing that goes in the bag. What I also have is my lucky marker, or I like to think is my lucky marker. It's a 20th anniversary edition of Thai Country Club made in gold. I won my first Asian Tour event at Thai Country Club back in 2005. And I went back there this year when I finished second in the Thailand Open, and I got one of these, and this has been in the bag ever since. It's not been so lucky for me this week, but I'm hoping the weekend it will be. I always carry a bit of food in my bag. The only time that I'm really healthy is on the golf course. Off the course I eat everything, but on the course I've got some healthy snacks in there. Banana usually after 9 holes, that's something I do. I've got a bunch of things in here. My mom always insists that I eat nuts, so she buys me all these bags of nuts that I always have. When we play in hot weather like we do in Asia, always got to have some rehydrants, energy bars, and protein bars. This one's my personal favorite. I usually I pick these up in Delhi airport, funnily enough, and always take 10 or 12 with me. On the other side, I have my stash of gloves, which I typically keep, as you can see, in a packet here, a Ziploc. I have a rain glove, and I usually carry about 4 or 5 gloves as backup for me, because I usually like to practice quite a bit before and after my round. In the front, having spent 10 years on the European tour, you never miss going without your rain suit. So come, hot weather, cold weather, whatever it is, I always have a rain suit. And I always keep a jacket in case the weather turns. So that's pretty much what's in my bag. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you next time.
Kapoor would have a moderate start in round 1, carding in a 1 under. He had 3 birdies on the front 9.
Really good woods on the practice range, so that gave me a lot of confidence. Throughout the round, I wasn't hitting it as close as
Bengaluru-based 23-year-old Saqib Ahmed and Chandigarh's Sujan Singh, who is a winner on the Asian Development Tour, fired rounds of 4 under 67 each to be the other 2 Indians in the top 6. The big shock for everyone, incidentally, was Jeev Milkha Singh's card of 8 over 79, which left him tied a scarcely believable 147. Time then for us to take one final break on the show, but do stick around. When we return, we'll tell you the interesting story behind some of the shock exits from the tournament after round 2. Welcome back to Inside the PGTI, where it's time now to review the second round of the Asian Tour and the PGTI's co-sanctioned event, the much-awaited Take Solutions Masters 2017. Hometown hopeful and crowd favourite Khalin Joshi surged up the leaderboard rapidly on day 2 of the main event. The Bengaluru lad hit 17 greens in regulation, accumulating 6 birdies at the cost of 2 bogeys. But the 24-year-old felt he had still not brought his A-game to the fore at the Karnataka Golf Association golf course.
I think I've worked on my putting and my driving because, that's not been on point the last 2 days. So I need to work on that, and my form is obviously because this is the first tournament after a 2.5 month layoff. So people are all of us are still very rusty. Just trying to get into contention, try playing good, just build your confidence for the second half and see how that plays out.
The story of the day, meanwhile, was how Sujan Singh, who was continuing his comeback from a bad injury, made 3 extraordinary par saves to rise to tied third, thanks to 4 birdies that went with 2 bogeys.
Well, it's almost like relearning the game, and it took a few years. I think the most important thing to get back is the confidence and the belief that we could compete again at the same level. I've been in contention on the Indian Tour. I think that's been fantastic. It's a great learning ground for anyone who aspires to play on the Asian Tour and beyond. So the last couple of years I've been there, and it's made me ready for the Asian Tour again, and I qualified at Q School of the Asian Tour in January, and I think I've been consistent and steady.
Someone who had been exactly that was Thailand's Poom Saksansin. He dominated proceedings again on day 2 with some brilliant putts. His round of 4 under 67 took him 4 shots clear of Khalin, with whom he shares a special bond.
He's a great fan. I'm really happy to see him on the leaderboard. He's been playing well. We play last 2.5 months. We've been playing 5 days a week competitive, all our betting rounds and stuff. And he's been really shooting the numbers. So I'm really happy for him, and I'm hoping that we can battle it out on Sunday coming down the stretch. He hits the ball. He's a great ball striker, and off late he's been putting really well also, and he hits it far. So length, I think nothing is lacking in his game at the moment.
So that's how things stood at the halfway mark. To the delight of the local faithful, Bengaluru's very own Chikarangappa and Rahil Gangji had also moved up and into title contention. Saqib and Divyanshu's presence in tied 8th made it 7 Indians in the top 10. Not a major surprise at a venue and in an event where foreigners have traditionally struggled to win. The cut was applied at 3 over 145, with 67 professionals making it to the weekend rounds. Those men there, however, didn't make it. The PGTI's long mid-season break was blamed for that by some, while others said the narrow fairways and changing weather conditions had taken their toll in the opening rounds. And that's all we could pack into this edition of the show. Do tune in again next time when we'll reveal who came out on top and why, as the tournament showcased an absolute cliffhanger of a final round climax. Until then, it's goodbye.